Before we take a look at our YouTube channel statistics within the analytics section of YouTube, it's important to understand which statistics are most important so that we can properly manage the time that we spend looking at our analytical data on YouTube. Every situation is different, but here's a list of some of the most important metrics that I think it's a good idea to keep an eye on. The first one is you want to take a look at your graphical trends on YouTube. So when we go into the analytics section, we'll be able to see how many views we've had for the last 30 days and whether that metric is increasing or decreasing. The same goes for our comments, subscribers, really every metric within YouTube. And we want to make sure that all of those metrics are increasing. And if they aren't, if the views are going down or if our subscribers are going down, we want to take a look at why that might be happening. What have we done in recent days that's caused our views to go down? In fact, as I go through these metrics, it's important to always be asking that question. Why is this happening? Because we have the statistic in front of us, but until we put meaning behind that statistic, it doesn't really provide any value for us. So for every metric we see in our analytics, we want to ask that question. Why is this metric the way it is? So let's take a look at some of the other metrics that I think it's important to keep an eye on. I've mentioned this throughout the course so far. Whether you're using YouTube for monetization or marketing, one of the key metrics that you really want to take a look at is how many subscribers you have and whether or not your subscribers are increasing over time. Subscribers are always going to give you more views, they're going to make you more money, they're going to share your videos, and it's definitely one of the key aspects to being successful on YouTube. So don't forget to take a look at the subscriber metric within YouTube. We can even see which videos are gaining us the most subscribers, which is important because we can hone in on that content, ask that magical question, why is this video bringing us so many subscribers? And then we can try and reproduce that type of content in the future. If we're publishing videos to YouTube, we're obviously looking for people to watch our videos. So when we look at our metrics, you want to keep an eye on the views statistic and make sure that for your channel as a whole, that statistic is increasing over time. And then we can take a look at each individual video, see which ones have the most views, which ones have the fewest views, ask ourselves why, and try and figure out how we can reproduce the most successful videos in future videos on our YouTube channel. We want to keep an eye on likes and dislikes as well. Likes are important because it shows that our content's engaging enough for the user actually to take an action after watching the video and hit the thumbs up button. Sometimes, however, I think dislikes are even more important because that shows us that there's a problem with some of our content on YouTube. If we have a video that has more dislikes than likes, we really need to take a look at that video and see why that is. Was the content just bad? Or maybe the user's expectations before watching that video were different from the information that it actually provided. So it wasn't a problem with the video itself, but maybe a problem with how we marketed that video, how we titled it. So we definitely need to take a look at the dislikes we're getting on YouTube and try and figure out why. We also want to take a look at shares on YouTube. If somebody's sharing our video, that means that they found that content compelling enough to share it with people that are close to them, their friends and family members. So what type of content did we have in that video, and how can we reproduce that in the future? Similar to shares, we can also take a look at the favorites metric, which is really important because when somebody adds a video to their favorites, they're not sharing it for others to see, but they're actually adding it to one of their own personal lists for them to go back and watch the video later on. If we have users that are watching our videos multiple times, that means we're getting multiple views per user on one video, and we're going to make way more money off that video. So what videos are getting the most favorites, and how can we reproduce that type of content in the future to maximize the amount of views that we can receive on our YouTube channel? We also want to make sure that we're keeping an eye on how many comments each video is receiving because, again, that means that the user is engaged with our content on YouTube, and they're going to be more likely to remember us. In YouTube Analytics, we can see where users are coming to our YouTube channel from. Are they coming from Facebook? Are they coming from YouTube search? Or are they watching our videos in an embedded player on a third-party website? It's important to look at what your top traffic sources are, but it's also important to look at which traffic sources are driving us the least amount of traffic and try and figure out how we can increase the traffic that comes from those particular sources. The last metric I want to talk about is audience retention, which deals with what percentage of our videos are users watching. If we have a 10-minute video and users are only watching an average of 5 minutes of that video, that means they're only watching 50% of that video, which means they didn't see half of our content or half of our content wasn't good enough for them to keep watching. You really want to get your audience retention metric as close to 100% as possible. I think anything over 75% is really good. If it's below 75%, we need to ask ourselves that question. Why are people leaving this content so early, and how can we change things in the future to get people to watch our entire video? Lastly, it's important to always be digging through your statistics. I mentioned earlier, every situation is different. You don't always know what you're going to find, but if you go in there and explore, sometimes you can stumble upon something that will really provide a lot of value and help you improve your channel moving forward.